Welcome to a conversation with Ferit Karahan, the director of Brothers Keeper. We're reaching him. He's right now in the Kurdish region of Iraq. Thank you for joining us, Ferit.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, I watched your film and it's one of the top five, I would say, in the last 5 or 10 years. I relate to it quite a bit. Tell us, what is the film about, Brothers Keeper?
Brothers Keeper, in the very repressive and discipline one boarding school, which is very far from anywhere. And one day, Yusuf, our lead character, 11 years old boy, tried to get his best friend Memo to the hospital. And at first, he's towered by the school bureaucracy and then by the very heavy snowfall.
Mm-hmm.
As teacher and students wait road to be cleared, and teacher and students and other staff of the school examine themselves from the circumstances boy mystery condition. And we're gonna see how revealing ruthless vendettas and secrets and other issues in the one boarding school.
Yeah.
The story passes in the one location, boarding school. We never get out. And in the course of the one day.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And there's so
Yes.
many underlying issues and elements discussed
Yeah.
in
Yes.
the film. But what I find that there are three things, and I don't know in what order, three elements to the film that makes it amazingly successful. And I can't decide which one to talk about: the location, the script, and the cast. And of course, your directing is awesome. That includes all of those. The location I thought was mesmerizing because you found the perfect place to give this sense of desolation and misery and cold and frigid institution. It's like there's this cold building enveloped with snow. And then there's these little kids, 10, 11-year-old children who are being bullied by each other, by teachers, and they get sick and they're cold. And I just, and then there is also corruption happening. There's so many underlying elements. How did you find this location? Because I find that's what makes the film so successful.
Okay, in 2018, I think it was like a March or February, something like that. I say I will try to the shooting the next year, so I will try to make pre-production. My producers and told me if you want to go to the boarding schools and find a location. Also, we have a three production company and they have a lot of staff and they also want to come with me to the select location. I didn't accept that because I wanted to be alone and doesn't affect anybody. And I just go to the east of the Turkey
Mm-hmm.
and go to the 11th city in the 8 months. And each city I rent a car and go to the see the old location, which is the very far from the cities or towns. And during the let's make mix the with the cast your casting question during the I scouting the location. I also filming my casting.
Mm.
And so after 8 months, I think I was have 11,000 boys which I casted, and I have many locations. First of all, I choose one location was in the east of the Turkey, Erzurum, Chad, but the head of the education ministry of the cities doesn't allow to me go to the set and shooting there.
But they didn't give you the permit.
Yes, because he think I am Kurdish and I will tell bad things about their
Hmm.
schools. And then I have B plan, C plan, D plan, and I go to the other one. My second plan was
Mhm.
I go to the one was the Bahçesaray. Location is so dangerous place in the Turkey. I think the most dangerous road over there. Um,
You mean dangerous because of winter conditions?
because of there is a road to the go to the there's just one road and go to this town, and but it's very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And just 1 year after our shooting, 44 people die at those places because of
Avalanche.
yes.
Oh,
And
yeah, I heard about that.
yes.
Yes.
So that occasion actually.
Mm-hmm.
So um, I designed the movie and we go to the with very crowded set, like a 65 or 8. It's so crowded, my crew, and we go there and finish one mount and then get out over there. So
Mm-hmm.
I planned that, but it's a very small uh, town. There isn't any hotel over there. There isn't any restaurant. There isn't any cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And consider our big, our actors, adult actors, go to the hospital canteen for the socializing. And so that was that was our famous boys and go to the hospital for socializing, and that was the really funny things.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, location was tough, and
Yeah.
it's it's so cold, and we stay the teacher. We say teacher house, as you know
Oh.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we share the rooms with the 2 or 3 people, and so
Yeah.
uh, that was our location story.
It's interesting that you said there was and I read about it because I was curious about the location. So I looked it up and then I read a news story about how there was an avalanche in that area. Was it called
Bahçesaray.
Bahçesaray? That's right. And I thought, in the film there is an avalanche also. I mean, not a physical avalanche, not in the film, but I feel like the children are surrounded with an avalanche of issues. They're bombarded with a lot of dangers, and from inside the school and outside of the school, and that's the feeling that I got.
Yeah, but I want to create this feeling, even the till the end when you speak with the old teacher
Mm-hmm.
in the boiling room, and suddenly one teacher and with the accidentally and go back and all the wood come down and everybody afraid, and so
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to make the film about the fear.
Can you
It's
elaborate on that?
uh,
Can you elaborate? Can you tell me more? What do you mean by fear?
yeah, because in the precious atmosphere, in the like it could be a family, a state, and a school, a factory, and people lying all the time, because they want to stretch their life space. So the lie is the help them a lot. I realized that in this atmosphere, in the fear atmosphere, lying became a resistance for these people. And so me and Gulistan, my wife, and
Lying
we
to
start,
survive. Lying
yes,
to survive almost. Yeah.
and we start writing based on that actually. So
Mhm.
that is the one issue. So you can feel fear in every scene,
Mhm.
almost each plan. That was my aim making film about.
Mhm. Um, there was one section in the film when a female teacher says to the pupils, to the students, there's no such thing as a Kurdish region.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when I was 22 years old, I started teaching at a private school in Turkey, in southern Turkey, and I had the opposite experience. What happened was I was giving an example of some languages, and I said, and like Kurdish is a language, and then one of the students said, they started laughing because actually not just one, all of them started laughing and saying Kurdish is not a language, Kurdish is just garbage. This was in the early 90s, and these kids were only 12 years old. And I said, no, guys, it's a language. What are you talking about? And I was, young. But then I was asked by the principal. I think that the word traveled home. So some parents, I don't know what they said. I don't know. They must have complained that I was even mentioning the word Kurdish. So the principal was also Kurdish, but he didn't identify as Kurdish. And he said, please do not talk about this at school again.
Yes,
So,
very, very typical Turkish behavior, actually. So
right.
that is not a new one.
That's right. And
Um,
I was too young and I was not confident enough to go on and on about it. But anyway, I had the opposite experience of what you have portrayed in the film
yeah.
with that female teacher.
The problem base on all education system in all around the world actually try to erase the children mentality and put,
Identity. Yeah.
yes, identity also,
Mhm.
and put what they want to design the generations.
Mhm.
In Turkey, it's also double because we have equality issues, and uh, as our economy, our military service, you know, all one. It's about the uh, how can I say? It's about the make them enemy, and that's based on that actually.
Oh,
So
alienate.
the assimilating the Kurdish boys or girls or the new generation starting from the school.
Mhm.
And for this reason, I put this scene. Also, it was we had experience about that, and our teacher said exactly that one.
Yeah.
And I think I have to say this thing because it's not. I'm not shaming because I am the Kurdish or I am not proud of I'm Kurdish. It's a normal as a Canadian, as a Arabic, Arabic. But people in the Turkey doesn't see like that.
We don't
And
choose our geography, right? We don't
yeah, but
choose our
but
geography.
the nationalism, it's very deep in the Turkey because of the end of the 19th centuries. Because we we say a late modernism
Mhm.
happened in the Turkey actually, and in the First World War there was a group which is the Atatürk came on this group, and they tried to put the nationalism in the Ottoman Empire because the 600 years Ottoman Empire was not the Turkish nationalist, and there was the Muslim country and base of the kingdom, and they just think about the one family and the other rest of the world
Yeah.
wasn't important. Even that period, the Kurdish or Arabic or all people was yes, there was some issues, but was living peacefully.
Mhm.
After World War One, they should destroy this group, militarist group, but they didn't because of the Second World War One just coming, and they have to keep this group nationalism. But after Second World War One, Soviet and American and try to support paramilitary groups in the countries like
Mhm.
Iran, like Iraq, like Turkey, all the third countries, of the world, and they created special forces in our country. The the Soviets actually supported left wing. The Americans support the right wing. Actually, it was the government and also nationalist people.
Yeah.
After also nationalist people, and after the 16 17 or even the 18 coup was belongs to the American movement.
Mhm.
After this success, our society was really nationalist.
Yeah.
Became very nationalist, and then in the end of the 18th, when the Soviet state became a Russia, and the American and the Soviet, they destroyed all paramilitary groups in the world,
Mhm.
but not in the Turkey, because Turkey has a Kurdish issue just starting in 18. Till
Mhm.
now, we have a lot of issues, like political issues, because of the nationalism in the Turkey. It has a political background, historical background, and so many of our problems, from the economy to the culture, from the cinema to the theater or ballet,
Mhm.
it's many problems comes from these nationalism feelings.
And
So
it's
we have a
censored
lot,
censored quite a bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is the story behind it.
Yeah. I would like to ask you about the script. I believe it is partly your life story. Is that right? Were you did you go to a boarding school in Eastern Turkey? And then
Yes,
how did you end up writing? And I think, did you collaborate? Is there a co-writer
yes,
screenplay?
yes. I was starting the boarding school 92, 93 season, and I just leave the school. I think 2000. 6. It was 6 years I spent in the boarding school, and at those time there was a really big conflict between the Turkish army and Kurdish guerrillas in the, especially east of the Turkey, and bomb were everywhere. Like the violence were everywhere. So we so afraid about everything. And then when I became to a young director, I tried to write the school trilogy, which is this one is the first one,
Oh, hmm.
and it was the school trilogy, and I wrote one draft of the story, and also the Minister Culture of the cinema support this story. But at those time, I couldn't put the distance between me and then the school. I hate everything, and also I didn't know how I can write a script. I was so amateur. And then the Turkey, we say the Kurdish peace, and at those time they were rising,
Mhm.
and I wrote the Far From Heaven, and I shoot that, and I go to the festivals, and then to 2012 I start to write again to
That was
these.
your first feature film, right?
Yes, actually, this was my first, but I couldn't, and I make another one. It became the Far From Heaven became my first
Mhm.
movie,
Mhm.
and then in 2012 I wrote with the Gülistan. She's also my wife, and
Mhm.
she's a director and scriptwriter. And but also we managed somehow. We knew how we can deal with our story, but it is. It isn't good. 2014 and 2015. And there was also a certain time I said I'm not going, gonna shoot that.
Yeah.
But after ISIS calm in the Middle East, especially for the Kurdish people, it was a really hardest time, maybe last 15 years.
Hmm.
Uh, I was feeling, the bomb war everywhere in the Turkey and violence were rising, and suddenly this democratic atmosphere and climate changed to the nationalism again and
Yeah.
again and again. And so my feeling was just come back to the 19th as the violent time. And one day we speak about I just mentioned it before. We speak about how the people lying in the atmosphere, and so um,
Yeah.
we finished the script in 7 days, and basically I can say 7 years and 7 days uh,
Yeah.
of the story.
Before we run out of time, I want to talk to you about the cast, especially using children. I have a friend here. She is the senior programmer at the International Film Festival in Vancouver, and she worked for Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro. And she wanted me to ask you this question. She said, actually, it's not a question, it's a comment. Oh, maybe a question. She said she's never seen anything like this, that Turkish filmmakers, directors, how do they manage to use children so successfully in their films? And I agree with that. I mean, some of the Turkish TV series, as bad as they are, the topic and the flow, I'm so it's I'm mesmerized by the Turkish child actors, Turkish or Kurdish child actors, and they're so good. And you've used children who are not professional actors. What first of all, what do you say about? And I was a drama teacher in Turkey, and we had many successful shows, but I will take none of the credit because the children themselves were amazing actors, and their heart and soul was in it. I wonder, what would you like to say about that? Is this unique to Turkish children, Kurdish children? What do you think?
No, actually, there wasn't. It wasn't like that because my producers, also my wife, and think I'm very talented on children. And but the fact not like that actually because they were 500. Really, they were 500, and so you
There
have to
were
deal with the.
500 children in the film?
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
How did you
And
manage choreograph all that? Anyway, you tell me.
I will tell you about how Kubrick did. I just put my step on his path, and first of all, I decided to uh, put a distance between me and the children
Hmm.
because they don't have any you know any moral to in the earth. They use everything. They crying, lying, shouting for controlling your you and your crew. And I didn't let them to do that because I was one of them. I know them very very well because it's
Oh,
a
I see. You
professional.
related to them.
Yes,
Yeah.
and also when I was so serious and I never laugh during in the set, and I just say, okay, you have to do that. You have, but my speech was like it was exactly same with the adult characters,
Yeah, you
and
keep them
uh,
just like the adults. Yeah.
yes, because when your behavior change like children and they just find a way to hit the production.
Hmm.
And it's a really rewarding things when your behavior to be very serious with them, and they think this is a serious job and I have to do my job. Also they have character and they have own personality.
Hmm.
And also the first view they think they were in the TV series, which is like they behave like a mafia guys, and they walking like that and then they eating like that. I said, You saw that, but forget that one because the interesting things, your real personality. I know you don't think like that, you don't agree with me, but it's really interesting. And so you have to show me your soul and your real personality.
So it's
That was the first my first act. And then second one, in the choreography, I put the number of each one of them.
oh, they
And
were numbered.
yes, when I say the 19, and the 19 is because I explain each one of them why what they are doing. Also, I didn't make a rehearsals. I hate the rehearsals, and I never do it.
What did
Uh, in,
sorry, what were you talking about?
uh,
Rehearsal.
I
Oh,
didn't,
rehearsal.
yes, I didn't make it, and with the adults, with the children, I just starting the set.
Oh wow.
So the other, which is my talent actually, and I use my hand. For example, I just go to the front of him. I said, look at my hand, and look at down, and now look at my this hand, and
Oh.
follow me, and because I working on the table, and before the production, I working on the how they going to the act.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the
Yeah.
bill of the this job.
Yeah. Well, you're a great director.
No,
Obviously.
thank you.
So what are you doing with this film? Are you traveling right now? You're in Iraq, and I think you were
Yes,
in Europe a while back. So you're doing the rounds at festivals, and how's that going for you?
I just came from Doha, and I
Mhm.
go to Istanbul one day, and I come here. I couldn't go to the Lisbon. We just I just canceled my trip because I had some issue, doesn't go there. And after here, and 2 days later, me, Gülistan, and our daughter, we go to Serbia and come back to Turkey. It's a really, really long trip for us,
But
and
it
very.
must be fun. You are now collecting the fruit of your hard work, right? Isn't that how it feels? Like you work really hard and then you travel. Do you find traveling is difficult, something that is, work, or do you find it fun?
I I have 4 years old daughter, and so it's like a torture for me. And so
Oh, yeah,
so I try to do work on the my
totally relate.
traveling time, and but somehow for the working, your working period, it should be really standard time, like you
Mhm.
go home and working.
Yeah,
But I try to watch the movies and read a lot of the books.
yeah,
Uh, I am in love with the books,
yeah.
and so also my wife, and she based on the literature. Also, I am seeing myself as a writer,
Oh, yeah,
first of all as a writer,
yeah.
and so that is the I just read the books and watch the movies. And uh, today we went to the Lalesh, the ACD people place,
Hmm.
and yesterday, mm, day before yesterday, we go to another Ahmediye. It's a really historical places,
Hmm.
and we go different 3 or 4 place,
And
and
what
it's
about your awards? Can you tell? I know that you won the Golden Orange National Film Award in Antalya. Can you tell us about your other awards? I think you won a big award in Chicago, and
yes,
I would like
Berlin.
and Berlin. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, we
Tell us.
start with Berlin. We start with the Berlin, and we won the Fibreski, and then it's a 20 hours, I think, something like that. It's from the Fars in Iran
Hmm.
to the Haifa, Israel, and to the Kazan Muslim Film Festival, and Chicago, Serbia, and
Hmm.
Spain, especially now Portuguese, and there is a lot awards which is the we reach. Just we are very happy with the movie actually.
Yeah.
The movie go to all around the world now. Is that we are selling the US and also we selling the all Europe, all Middle East.
And it made it to this city, Vancouver. I already saw it here twice, actually,
Yeah.
Vancouver. Um, what is coming up for you? I think you're working on a film. Is it finished or is it in pre-production stage?
No, it's
When will it be
about
available? Yeah.
it's we finished the shooting, but I have to shoot a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And also I wrote one dystopia,
Oh,
and yes, but it's
very,
not
very popular topic nowadays, dystopia.
yes, but consider the Brothers Keeper is a thriller,
Mm.
and I don't know how it's a very low K thriller. This also will be low K dystopia. It's about the behavior. It has politic background and not just big machines and all stuff. And I hate that. And actually, my only concern about the relationship of the people, and
Mm.
I just working on the relationship
Between.
on the on the paper.
Mhm.
Uh, one, I have one of my favorite writer. He's from England, Kazuo Ishiguro. Maybe you know
Oh,
him.
I love him. He's one of my favorite. Yes, I've read
And
two. Yeah.
he is working also like me. When I discovered that, I was so happy, and he just working on the relationship and with the characters, and then he think about the context.
That's
And
right.
I was, yeah, this is my way.
Even
And
in one of his books that he calls science fiction, Never Let Me Go, it's
yeah,
actually about relationships between people. So it's not what you would expect from a science fiction.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the
So
that
we
is
have
the
that in common too. Yeah.
that is the so important.
Yeah. What about Charles Dickens? Because I feel Brothers Keeper is reminiscent of Oliver Twist or David Copperfield. Would you say that there's
No,
something
I read about
history
yes.
or the bullying or the poverty and the deprivation, desolation? It reminds me, I would say, very, would you say, Dickensian?
Mm,
Thought about that?
I think it's a more closer to the Kafka.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me more?
Yeah, because in the Dickens style is actually usually American style is like the good they have good ones, they have bad ones, they have aim, and it's very very formalized.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers Keeper is not like that, and you cannot say Turkish teacher are bad guys or
Oh,
Kurdish
I see. Yeah.
Kurdish Kurdish student are good guys. It's a mix. It's a somehow, and we have uh, we have just over black and white,
So you're
and
saying Dickens is more, there's clear lines and there's
yes,
white
he's so
character.
sharp. But when you consider with the Kafka,
Mhm.
especially what is the name in English? I don't know. Dava in cases maybe or chateau, and it's I affected by him a lot. So create to this his political context and characters, and so
Well, let's
uh,
go back to your new film. I'm so excited and I'm hoping it will be available for us to see in 2022.
and no, no
No? Oh.
2023 maybe.
Oh, okay. But can you tell us a bit more about that? You were saying it's a dystopia.
Yeah, yeah. Already I told you it's a dystopia, and and
That's it.
that's it. Yes, it's
Now,
very.
Ferit, before I say goodbye to you, I'm right now in Vancouver, Canada, and just a few months ago, the media here, the news was bombarded by the the we about residential schools, people found graves of residential school children.
Yeah.
And me as a teacher, I've known about residential schools ever since I came to Canada, actually, ever since 1997, I've known about this. But the Canadians were surprised, shocked to hear all the misery and the drama and the death and all that. And of course, I mean, here in the Turkish community, we compare the residential schools with the schools like the one that you went to in Turkey. It doesn't have to be a boarding school. For example, my native language was not Turkish either. I mean, I wasn't Kurdish, but I learned how to speak Turkish. Many people learned how to speak Turkish in grade 1, grade 2 in Turkey, people who come from different backgrounds. And then there is this erosion of your identity and assimilation. Some people would say, wait a minute, you have gained more than what you have lost. And of course, the discourse in this country has been residential schools gave a lot to these indigenous cultures.
Yeah.
Of course, nobody would dare to say that now, and I don't think they should. But the same, I'm hearing this from Turkish community that, we were given schooling, you and I, our language totally erased. I don't know how to speak my first language anymore. And I don't know if you do or not. You come from a larger minority, maybe you still speak it. But what do you say to people who say, look, you gained an education, like those boarding schools were giving you an education, and maybe like you wouldn't be a director where you are now if you hadn't had that education. Now, this is not my opinion at all, but how do you respond to people who would say that to you?
Yes, somehow I heard the Canadian issues and with the residential school, and me and Gülistan was very unhappy about that. I feel same. I have a I have an example like that.
Mm-hmm.
The problem in the Turkey is about the classes, and is that we were my father was a shepherd, and so that was he didn't have a lot of money to send us to the boarding school,
Mm-hmm.
and I have two choice: go to the boarding school or stay at the home to be shepherd again. And it's like like a fly in the spider web.
Mm-hmm.
If the fly move himself, and he this fly lost his arm or the wings,
Mm-hmm.
and as I lost my languages
Great.
or my all um, you know um, bringings from the birth. And if I stay in the boarding school as the fly stay still in the spider web, uh, he will be food for the spider, and I was the food for the state. So we have to get over that, and all the education system in the world has to just aim to the bring the creatively feelings or from this child,
Yeah.
and that is so important. The humanity usually show their very ugly faces to their children,
Mm-hmm.
especially the states,
Mm-hmm.
and we we had to not accept that. That is important.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
so much.
let's leave it at that. Beautifully said.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
great to have this conversation with you. And I really hope I meet you in person here in Vancouver one day, hopefully.
I hope to.
Soon. All the best luck to you. It's just an amazing film, and I will highly recommend it to everybody. We're going to be showing it online on beginning December 10 in Vancouver. Have
Thank
fun,
you so much.
and
Thank you
greetings
so
to
much.
your family and your 4-year-old.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for having me,
Bye.
and I'm really appreciated to showing the movie Vancouver again, and I hope I will show the Vancouver my movie in Vancouver again and again.
We would
And
love
thank
to
you
have
for
you
the
here.
personally to you and invite me and to this beautiful speech. And thank you so much.
Say goodbye in Kurdish.
Thank you.
How do you say goodbye in Kurdish?
Goodbye. Is
In Kurdish.
Evarbaş.
Oh, tamam. Okay. See you.
See you. See
Hoşça kal.
you.